Welcome to Team Kings, showcasing team spirit at Kings High School. It's Masters Weekend. Why not talk golf, right? And with us right now from the Kings High School golf team, I should mention also the three-time defending state champion Kings golf team. We have two juniors, Julia Nichols and Ava Mason, along with the head coach, Simonette Sancho. Ladies, first of all, thank you for being here.
Thanks very much.
Three-time state champion coach, that has a nice ring to it, doesn't it?
It sure does, yeah.
How much fun has it been for you to coach this team over the years?
Oh, it's been a pure joy. Yeah, a lot of thrills because these gals just put in a lot of just enthusiasm and fun when we practice, even though there's times where they don't really like the kind of activity that I put together. But in the end, I think they really appreciate it and really realize that they can grow from kind of learning, that aspect of any type of game or practice that we put in.
And especially when you can combine success with fun. You use the fun word there. We always like to hear that. So always vital in sports, right?
It is. Bottom line, it's fun. Yeah, it has to be fun.
And we've got two sophomores here, and yet, interestingly enough, the two of you, I was expecting you to come in here and tell me that you've been playing golf since you were 4 or 5 years old. Julia, you just started last year, right?
Yeah, I did. It was pretty fun, my first time.
Now, how did you get started in golf? What brought you to the sport?
Well, my dad said that I should try out another sport, and I didn't want to at first, but when he convinced me, I was like, might as well try it out. It's just one season, basically. And so, yeah, I tried it out.
So did you literally pick up the golf clubs for the first time as you were heading into your freshman year? Had you ever gone to a driving range or anything like that even at that point?
No, the first practice for golf, Simonette actually taught me how to swing for the first time. So.
Simonette, do you get that a lot in high school? I mean, in terms of the golfers coming out for their first time, not knowing even how to grip a club or anything like that?
Yeah, and it's interesting because you would think that they would start out early, and that's the reason why they're taking up the sport or they're continuing. But what I've noticed at Kings is that a number of them will just start out in high school. But it also depends on, again, what they put in. And I think that's why then they excel at the game and they take interest in it because they're having, they're having fun. Along the lines, yeah.
And Ava, you have a similar story, right? You didn't play golf until you got to high school.
Yeah, last year was my first year also.
So what brought you to the sport? What was intriguing about it for you?
I've just kind of been around the game a lot. My siblings have all played golf, and so I thought I'd try it also.
Now, when you're stepping onto a golf course for the first time in high school where it's competitive and there are other golfers who have certainly an extensive background in the sport, and it's a sport that's very technical. It's not that easy for a first-timer. Julia, were there a lot of frustrations for you last year when you were kind of learning the game, so to speak?
Oh, definitely. Like, when I try to hit, I usually miss like 3 times before I actually get to hit the ball. And so it always frustrated me because I always have to hole out or I had to pick up the ball.
And Simonette, when you have a player like that, do you kind of handle them with kid gloves, so to speak? Do you have to be a lot more patient than maybe a player who's been there for a while?
Yeah, just to be there and supportive and just make sure that they know that, golf is a game where you make mistakes and just, what do you learn from those mistakes? And so we just kind of figure out like how they need to, improve the next time around and what they need to do different if that, happens to be the case, yeah.
Now, Ava, for you, first time playing last year, but you made state, correct?
Yeah.
So what was that like? Did you pick it up pretty quickly? Was it something to where your scores were dropping and you were progressing as the year went on? What was your freshman season like?
Yeah, definitely. My first match was, it was rough, but after that, I started improving, and once I got to leagues, my scores definitely dropped, and moving on to state also.
So for the two of you, being second-year golfers now, what type of goals do you put on yourself for this year? Is it in terms of where you want to place at districts or at state, or is it just a personal low score? Julia, when you think of what you want to achieve your sophomore season, what comes to mind for you?
I have a short-term goal, which is not missing a hit or a swing. I try to hit the ball if it goes short or long. That's my goal, just to hit it.
I like it. Very, very nice. And then how about you, Ava? Do you have a particular score in mind? You've already been to state, right? So is it just a matter of improving on your state
Yeah, my goal is
position?
Also go back to state again and also just improve on that score from last year.
Coach, what about you? When you talk to the girls before the season starts, do you sit down and have one-on-ones with all of the golfers? Do you kind of tell them or lay out what the expectations are for the year, or do you kind of let them tell you what they want out of it?
Actually, it's a two-way process. At the very beginning of the season, I'll ask them about their goals for the season and what we need to do to each week to meet them. And then, they provide me feedback with where they're at with their game. And so we do that both verbally and then also kind of writing it down, so it's just easier for them to make sure that they're following their plan.
So I'm going to ask you about the rest of your team here in a moment, but first tell me about these two in particular. We'll start off with Ava. Tell me a little bit about what it's like to coach her and what she's like as a player.
Yeah, Ava, we have a lot of laughs together because, as Ava mentioned, she has a lot of tricks up her sleeve sometimes when she plays golf. But one of the, I think, beauty about Ava and her concentration is she can be able to kind of check in and check out right away very well. We can just be walking down the fairway and we can either discuss either the weather or how volleyball went, but as soon as she needs to step up and hit her shot, she's well focused and concentrated so she can block out anything, any distractions that comes her way.
Which for a lot of golfers is easier said than done, right?
Right, yeah. So that's a tremendous, I think, gift that she has. As for Julia, she's one of the hardest working on the team. Last year she was injured for most of the season, and as soon as she was able to come back, she wanted to just watch her teammates and kind of understand a lot that she had missed, and so she learned a lot of the rules that that are common in the game of golf. And so I think it's a lot of that dedication that she has, and her willingness to just, catch up to where she had left off. And so I think both of them, as golf is an individual game, they really focus on what they need to internalize and then kind of deliver that.
Okay, now let's turn the tables here for a moment. Tell me a little bit about Coach. Julie, I'll start with you. What's it like playing for Coach? What has she done for you and helped you with your game?
She helped me a lot with my swings and how to swing in general, and just teaching me the basic rules of golf over these past 2 years. And so I just think it was really helpful for her. And she's really funny on the course, and she gives me a lot of laughs. And then she always talks to me, what can I do to improve? So I just think she's a great coach to help learn golf in general, because it was my first year last year. Mm-hmm. And I think she's the perfect coach.
Ava, what about you? Tell me a little bit about what Coach has meant to you.
Yeah, Simonette has been really patient these last 2 years, and just helped us a lot. I also think that the rules aspect of it is really important. When you're out there, you're alone, and so Simonette has done a really good job teaching us the rules and what to do in certain situations.
Very good. And now, Coach, who are some of the other players on the team?
Well, one of our players, Emily Burdett, she's a senior this year. She has been to State 3 out of her 4 years and winning it twice. And she's a really good, I think, leader for all the girls. I think that's one of the things that has worked out really well is all of them help each other out, and Emily in particular because of her years of experience. And then another up-and-coming player is Delaney Peterson. She's a sophomore, and she's a 3-sport athlete. Bringing that athleticism and also just that competitiveness. She's striving to make her goals this year, and one of them is to go to state.
So certainly a lot of high hopes for some of these young ladies, and it should be fun to see how it plays out. Now, we are on spring break right now, so obviously when you look at the schedule, your last match was actually back on Monday, March 26th. Next match is coming up on Thursday against Archbishop Murphy. That's always a big opponent there. When you have 2 weeks off like this and you're on break, do the two of you find time to get out to the golf range or the golf course? Or Julia's laughing already. I'll let her answer that first.
Unfortunately, not.
No golf in there, huh?
No, I take this time to work on maybe studying for different applications and stuff, but I like to sleep in as well. So, I mean, I don't take the time
and
to
it's raining out all the
swing.
time, everything.
Yeah, it's raining. I mean, maybe if it was really, really hot, I wouldn't stay in the house. But I'll go out and do something.
What about you, Ava? Have you been able to play golf at all during the break?
Not yet, but I'm hoping to get some golf time in these last few days.
Well, Coach, what's that like for you? Because you do have this 2.5 week window where there's nothing actually scheduled. Do you? And a lot of your players, quite frankly, are on trips right now, where they're away for the week or the week and a half. Is it difficult for you as a coach to try to keep everybody focused? Do you just kind of cross your fingers and hope that when they step back onto the
Yeah.
onto the course on Thursday? They're ready to go, or?
Yeah, it's I don't really put too much pressure on them. It's I want them to enjoy the game, and for them to enjoy the game and to say that you have to play every day for 8 hours, that might take the enjoyment out of it. So I let them follow their course, and as soon as the first day comes back, they're focused and ready to kind of get back into it. Granted, we do have a match 2 days after we get back, and some of them might be a little tired from the jet lag, but they're all, I'm sure once they come back, they'll be ready to go.
Okay, like riding a bike, right? Once you've done it, you hopefully, knock on wood, we keep our fingers crossed on that one. As far as the weather is concerned, is it tough to play in the Pacific Northwest this time of year? Is it tough to get motivated? You talked about it, Julia, that if it was warmer out, you might be more willing to do it. What is it like when you have to go out and practice golf 3 or 4 days a week when it's just pouring down rain?
It's horrible.
We
Especially,
like the honesty.
I mean, Jackson Park, there's like a lot of geese, but there's also puddles if it's gonna rain, and it gets all muddy, and then you get muddy, and then when you come back home, you're dripping wet. So I personally do not like the rain, and especially on golf courses when you're walking to each hole for 2 hours straight.
You mentioned Jackson Park. Ava, that's the course where you do a lot of your practicing on. Is it a course you like? Do you enjoy playing there?
Yeah, I enjoy Jackson. It's challenging, but it's been really fun.
Do the two of you have a favorite course that you play on? It could be either through school or otherwise. Do you have an area or a spot in town that you like to kind of play more than others? Or
Our match before spring break was really fun. We played at Inglewood, and I really enjoyed that course.
how about you, Julia?
I like Mill Creek course because it's like challenging, but it's also really fun.
Very good. And also, we mentioned earlier it's Masters Week. Do we have golf fans here? Are you somebody who likes to watch golf when you're not playing it, or is it just a matter of I'd rather be out there on the course myself?
I mean, the only time I watched Masters when it was on TV in Red Robin.
Okay,
So-
fair enough. So you just kind of glanced up at it occasionally in between
Yeah.
fries, and
Yeah, I just saw it. I'm like, oh, golf. Let's watch it.
so other than that, though, you're not going home to flip it on to watch and see who's winning or anything like that, or?
No.
Okay, Ava, what about you? Do you watch the sport of golf, or would you rather play?
I watched a little bit. My family's into it, so I'll watch a little bit.
So they're relatively new to the sport, Coach. You've been at it for a while. Is it a sport you enjoy watching as well, or?
Yeah, every aspect of the game. I mean, primarily when I watch, especially some of the tournaments, I gain some, perspective as to how to teach or flip it back to like my game. So I look at it in the sense of I'm learning from it, in addition just to watching the players.
And that reminds me too. Before we started rolling with the cameras, you told us that you didn't pick up golf until you were an adult. Kind of unusual for a golf coach, for that matter, too. When you have players, and we've talked about not only Julia and Ava, but also some of their teammates who pick it up later in life, so to speak. Does that make it easier for you to coach? Can you kind of relate to that a little more because of that, or?
Well, I think I relate more a little bit to just that competitive edge because I played other sports, and one of the reasons why I did take up golf was because it was such a challenge. It wasn't easy just to kind of hit that ball consistently and go down the fairway and keep it straight. And so in that respect, yeah, kind of relating to just, the team. But I think it's more of like, where you think you want to be at in the game and, kind of like that internal individual stride.
And Ava, we should mention you're also on the volleyball team.
Yeah.
And we happened to meet one of your volleyball teammates earlier this year. We met a couple of them, but one in particular, your sister Ellie.
Yep.
So not the first Mason we've had in studio. Is that kind of along the lines of what Coach was saying, the competitive drive and playing other sports? Is that what do you enjoy that about golf as well?
Yeah, definitely. The competitiveness in golf is, it's fun. It's a joy. Like even just competing against your teammates in practice, yeah.
And Julia, for you, I want to also mention you've got a big trip coming up in a couple weeks. You're not just a golfer right now; you're doing other things as well. Tell me a little bit about DECA and the trip to internationals coming up.
Well, DECA is it's a program, and so many students compete, and they do tests and they do role plays, which you just talk to one another like we're doing now. But in 2 weeks, I'm going to be going to Atlanta, Georgia, and competing in internationals. So, and I'm a little bit nervous, but I can't wait to do it.
And what's your subject? What are you competing in? What?
I do principles of hospitality and tourism.
Okay,
So yeah.
very good. And that, again, you need to qualify to get there, so that's a big accomplishment, especially for a sophomore. So
Yeah.
very nicely done. So again, two young ladies getting it done on the golf course and as well in other aspects of their life. Coach, I've got to think you're pretty proud of these two.
Oh, certainly, yeah. Very proud of both of them.
And
yeah,
we
what
look-
they've accomplished, yeah.
We look forward to watching them a little bit more too. So Julia, Ava, congratulations on a nice start to your season. Best of luck all year long. Coach, thank you very much for coming in, and hopefully we're talking about another perhaps Kings State Championship come late May. We'll see. Stay tuned. In continuing with our golf theme this week, we now have the boys team joining us. And with us, junior Grayson Giboney, sophomore Adam Payne, and of course the head coach, Nelson Knight. 10th year head coach, right, Coach?
That's right.
A team that won the state championship just 2 years ago. So perhaps we can talk about another title to put in the trophy case here later on this year. But before that, let's talk to the guys a little bit here. Grayson, we had the girls in here earlier today, and they were talking about how new they are to the sport. Not the case for you.
Nah.
When did you start playing?
I started when I was 2. That's when I got my first real golf club my dad cut down. But my first birthday, he gave me a plastic set of clubs, but those broke pretty fast.
So Dad was getting you ready really quick.
Yeah.
So now, when you say they broke really, really fast, were you just playing constantly? Were you a little bit rough on the equipment? What was the situation?
I was probably pretty rough on it. And I was probably playing a lot too.
Coach, has he gotten a little better in terms of being rough on the equipment, or is he?
Yeah, he's got some pretty nice equipment, so I think he takes pretty good
Takes
care.
better care of it now. Huh? What is that like when you're playing? I mean, obviously you've been playing since before you can even remember. So is it just from the stories your parents have told you? Did you enjoy it from the get go? Did you take to it pretty quickly?
Yeah. It was, when I first started, it was right when Tiger was at his most dominant. And I always was watching him and wanted to be like how he played.
So what is your earliest memory of golf?
It was probably on my dad used to live in my grandpa's house, and probably maybe at a putting green in the backyard, and I remember just chipping and putting, and then we put a line down, and it was a 30-foot putt, and I made one. That's the first thing I remember.
Coach, it makes your job a lot easier when you got a guy like this who's been playing since he's 2 years old, right?
Yeah, it's definitely nice for, just as a team leadership, when you've got an experienced golfer of that caliber, it helps kind of the team just see what's possible if you put some work in and are interested in improving your golf game. So it's definitely a nice player to have on the golf team.
Gives you a nice little starting point anyway.
Absolutely.
Adam, for you, relatively new to the sport.
Yeah, I started playing last year. I first started seriously playing. Before that, I played a little bit with my parents, but not too much. But I've been having a lot of fun with it.
Well, I think that's what's great about golf too. You can start at different stages in life, and there's different levels of play for that matter too. And everybody still seems to kind of get the same enjoyment out of it. Coach, for you, when you deal with new players versus somebody like Grayson, who's been at it since he can remember, since before he could walk, and what is it like for you as a coach when you're getting some of the newbies in there that you're kind of teaching from day one?
I think as a coach, it's actually easier to work with the newer golfer because you can see improvements so dramatically and quickly. When you get to the level where a Grayson or a low handicap golfer is, that's probably the hardest thing to do in golf is improve a half a shot, right? Because you're already doing everything pretty well. But when I get, just showing them how to grip the club can make a huge difference in how they do successfully on the course, and just kind of work from there. You start with the grip, that's your connection to the club, and try and get them to hit the ball forward and keep moving. So it's a lot of fun though.
And Grayson, for you, what is your handicap right now?
Right now it's at a 0.5.
0.5, okay. Very, very nicely done. So when you're around golfers who are relatively new to the game, like Adam and some of the other younger golfers, do you find yourself in a teaching role at times? Do you try to give them advice where you can?
Yeah, I try to help out as much as possible, but also not complicate things too much because oftentimes it's easy to tell people multiple things at one time, and it would just confuse them, and they wouldn't do it as well as if you just told them one thing to focus on at one time.
And Adam, for you, do you enjoy getting advice from players who have been at it a little bit longer?
Yeah, for sure. Earlier this year, I was having a problem with a slice, and I called Grayson over on the range, and I was like, dude, show me how it's done. And he helped me out with my swing a little bit, and right now I'm shooting a lot better.
Good. And now this is a young team, right, Coach? How many
Yeah.
freshmen do you have playing right
We're
now?
gonna have about seven freshmen this year, so 16 total in the program this year, and we were definitely only one senior this year, so definitely a younger underclassmen-driven team.
So how important is it when you have a young team like that to have some of your older players, and by older I mean mostly
Sure.
juniors and sophomores, step up into leadership roles and to kind of guide them a little bit? Is it?
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, it really helps a lot. Like I said, we have Grayson, Giboney, and Alex Lundberg as our lone senior this year, and they're almost an extension of me on the golf course. If I can't get to all the groups with 16 players and part of the program, it is a huge help. Just to know that I've got a couple experienced players that can help everyone get through the course and really supportive teammates for the whole entire team.
So Mr. Giboney here took 7th in state last year. Who else are we going to watch if we go to a Kings
So
match right now?
this year we've got Grayson Giboney and Alex Lundberg are returning state participants from last year. So they'll definitely be leaned on to get us back there. And Adam Payne here and Tyler Kim are two of our other up-and-coming state caliber golfers. And I'm just really excited to see what happens with our younger guys. We've got some freshmen that are competing and playing in the varsity matches this year, so it's very exciting to see what we'll do.
Grayson, for you, 7th last year as a sophomore, 12th as a freshman. How important would it be for you to, at some point in your career, maybe either get into the top 3 or maybe get that top spot at state? Is it something you think about very often, or is it just a matter of if it happens, it happens?
It'd be really nice if it happened, and it'd be something it's a goal for mine to do really well and place top 3. It'd be really cool.
And Adam, for you, what kind of goals do you set for yourself? A newer golfer, just learning the game still for the most part. It's a game it's difficult, so you really can say you're still learning the game when you're second year in. Do you put score goals on yourself, or is it just a matter of going out and getting better and feeling more comfortable? What do you aspire to do in the game of golf?
Well, I think that if you're like completely new to the game and have never played before, I think you just got to work on getting better. But if you have you already developed skills and stuff, I think you should work on improving your score. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to shoot like consistent bogey golf, and I mean, like Grayson said, consistency is key in golf, and that's what I'm just trying to stay consistent.
Coach, tell me a little bit about these two guys. What is it like to coach them, and what kind of people are they? What kind of players are they?
Yeah, they're both great student athletes at its core, right? So Grayson I've known for quite a while and had him as a freshman on the golf team, and it's just really starting to develop and show team leadership. He's always been a talented golfer, but I think it's really rounded his game out where he's matured. He knows what he needs to do out on the golf course, but he also helps and cares about his teammates and helping them improve. I think Adam just really kind of shows the trend in golf now as you're getting a lot more athletic people that are interested in the game. I think it can really take them to that next level. So he's got great hand-eye coordination. He's passionate about being there. He's always early to practice, works on his game, very inquisitive on how to get better, but also a great team leader and example setter for, even though he's only a sophomore, we have a really young team, and he gets looked up to by a lot of the guys as well as Grayson. So.
Now, let's flip the question around. Guys, for you, what is it like working with Coach? And Adam, I'll start with you because, again, you're the one that's still kind of learning the game, so to speak. What has Coach meant to your game, and how has he helped you improve?
I mean, he's helped me improve a lot. Like, we go on the range twice a week this year. Last year we did once a week. And the range, I think, is the biggest place where you can improve. Well, your swing and, like, technically. And he's helped a lot with getting that slice away and, like, hitting straight balls, hitting it pure, getting good contact. Just overall really improved me.
For you, I mean, a little bit different, obviously, because you've had a lot of coaching over the years. Are you still coachable at this stage in your life? Is it easy for you to walk into a high school environment and get advice from a high school coach?
For the most part, Nelly just helps me with confidence. Say if I'm not having that good of a day, he helps me have confidence in myself that I can hit the next shot great and finish out strong. But for my main coach is Chris Getz at Glendale for my swing.
I'd be remiss if I don't ask. It's Masters weekend. We just happen to have the golf team in here on Masters weekend. Are we golf fans, or are we? I see 3 heads shaking at me right now.
Absolutely.
That's a yes.
So just to let everybody have a little peek behind the curtain, we're filming this on Sunday morning, so we're going into the final day of Masters. Do we have favorites? Do we have a favorite golfer per se? Not necessarily who you think's going to win, but maybe a golfer that you root for more than others, or Grayson?
Yeah, mine's definitely Rory McIlroy. He's his swing is just so much better than everyone else in the field, and he's I want my swing to look like his.
Okay.
And he's down 3. I think he can come back.
So we'll see this after the fact, but your prediction is Rory wins then.
Yeah.
Okay. Adam, you laughed when he said he's by far better than everybody in the field. Was that an agreement laugh, or are you do you have a
Well, yeah, it was,
difference of
it
opinion
was
here?
an agreement laugh.
Okay.
Yeah, I really like Rory. I think he's a really humble dude. I mean, a great person and also a great golfer. And I don't know, I look up to him.
Are we going to make this a clean sweep? Are we all 3 Rory fans here?
Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens today. I think it's setting up for a kind of a two-man match down with Patrick Reed and Roy McIlroy, but I look pretty impressed with what Ricky Fowler's doing too. So,
But just as a fan of golf, who would be your favorite golfer, or do you have
oh
one?
boy, there's a lot of them out there, but I really like Phil Mickelson. I've grown up watching him, so I think just kind of in accord with the way Arnold Palmer treated people out on the golf course, aside from how successful of a golfer he is. I like really how he emulates that on the golf course as well.
How about a dream course for you guys to play? Would it be Augusta?
For sure.
Is it hands down? Is that an easy
That's
no-brainer
about
question?
the hardest one to get on out there, so that'd be a pretty awesome experience to play.
Yeah.
How about favorite course you've ever played?
I like Chambers Bay. That one's really cool to play, and probably that and Gamble Sands. Those two are really similar, and they're both links courses. I'm a big fan of the links courses.
Okay. Adam, what about you?
Well, last summer I golfed down in Hawaii at the Wailea Blue Course, and I don't know, that was just an awesome experience because of how beautiful the sunset was and just the environment.
Coach, do you have a
I
favorite?
got a lot of them, but I got the chance to play the Ocean Course at Kiowa Island down in South Carolina, and one of the most beautiful courses I've ever played, but also who I got to play with. So I have my dad, who's actually helping me coach the golf team this year. My cousin and my uncle is kind of our dream foursome, if you will. So that's something that I'll always remember. And that's also something I always emphasize with the golf team is golf's really a game of a lifetime, and I really want them, if nothing else, to enjoy their time on the golf team at Kings, but continue to be lifelong golfers, hopefully. That's really my ultimate goal as a coach, is I want them to enjoy and want to stay in the game, not so much worry about what your score is here or there. For certain players, obviously, they're going to be competitive and want to shoot as low as possible, but I also have a lot of golfers that I'm just hoping are continuing and socially enjoy the game and want to play for the rest of their lifetime and make memories like I have a chance to do with my dad and family members and friends.
Coaching and playing for all the right reasons, creating memories.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully another memory will be created this week. The Tom Dolan Invitational is coming up on Monday. This is a big one. This is 30 or 40 schools usually every year over at Everett Golf
Country Club.
Country Club up there. And Grayson, you've had a little success there.
Yeah.
You won this thing 2 years ago.
Yeah, freshman year, I played pretty well. I got in a playoff with our number one, Jack Ryan at the time. He was a senior and I was a freshman, and with Ethan Castro, who's now playing college golf as well as Jack Ryan. And I won on the first hole of a playoff, which was really cool.
So we're hoping to maybe put another trophy up in the on the mantle there.
That'd be very cool. If
Very-
that happened.
And then Adam, are you going to be playing in that also on Tom Dolan?
Yes, I am.
Okay, are you excited about that? It's again, it's a pretty big event with a lot of teams there. Do you enjoy those type of matches as opposed to just playing one or two schools at a time?
Yeah, I haven't played a lot of those kind of matches, but I'm always excited to just play the game of golf, and it should be fun tomorrow.
Very good. And then as far as collegiately, I know you guys are a ways off still, but Grayson, you're a junior, so is this something you'd like to pursue at the next level? Is it something you hope to do?
Yeah, I'd really like to play on like a great golf school and help contribute to a winning team. That'd be really nice.
And Adam, you've got some time left, both to get better at the game of golf and also as a student at Kings as only a sophomore. Any thoughts to what you might want to do in the future, or is it still a little too far out?
I mean, I'm not completely sure. Fortnite streaming is always an option, but I mean, become the next ninja. But I'm always just going to work on improving my game of golf.
Yeah, it's 2018, so I guess Fortnite can be thrown out there. Is he the best Fortnite player on the team?
Probably.
Coach, are you going to agree with that, or?
I didn't find out too much about Fortnite till today, to be honest. So But I'm glad
I
Adam's
know
got
who the
that going
worst
for
is,
him.
Well, Ninja is he makes a pretty good living playing Fortnite, so perhaps there's that.
I mean, you never know.
I'm sure your teachers are aspiring to have you do bigger things and something
Yeah.
maybe in the other realms, but we'll
My
see.
parents too.
Yeah. And as far as other sports, you also play on the football team.
Yeah.
So how's it playing for Coach Schapp and those guys? Are you excited to keep that going for the next couple of years too?
Yeah, for sure. I think like I mean, you've heard from probably several people that like the bond that we have on the football team, we're a band of brothers, and I think that you create a lot of like lifelong relationships on there, and I'm excited to continue playing there.
And then finally, it is spring break. You guys both got away for a little while and played. Of course, you played golf over spring break, right? So tell me a little bit about where you went and where you played.
I went down to Phoenix and I played at the Grand Canyon University golf course down there. Yeah, I went and toured, not toured, like looked at Grand Canyon as college.
The weather's not too bad either this time.
No, it was like 95.
Maybe a little too hot then.
It's a big change coming
Crisp.
from there to here, like 40 and raining
Yeah,
every day.
ball was staying a little bit drier, I would think, on the
Oh,
course.
for sure.
And then Adam, for you also got out of town for a little while, right?
Yeah, me and my dad drove down to Yakima for a day, and we played the Apple Tree Golf Course down there, which is it's just a super fun course to play, super open. So there's not a lot of room to mess up.
And the weather in April, decent over there?
Yeah, it was all right. It was like 60. So then it really started to get nice into like the 70s by the end of the day.
Feels like 80 or 90 around here these days, right,
Oh,
Coach?
absolutely.
Do
So,
you get a chance to play very often? Or do you-
I try to play as much as I can. Yeah, when the golf season isn't going, I'm usually pretty busy, so don't have much time for my own game. But I try and play about once a week when we're out of season for the school. So.
But right now they're in season and trying to do big things. Again, the Tom Dolan Invitational coming up Monday, and then we go through the rest of the season, which ultimately culminates in the championships, the state championships, May 22nd, May 23rd. So between now and then, guys, best of luck this season. Enjoy every moment of it. Love the hats, by the way. Nicely
Thank
done.
You. Thank you.
And we will continue to follow the golf team. And that will do it for this week's edition of Team Kings. We appreciate you watching. Until next time, take care.